Welcome into 2-for-1 Drafts, the Christmas special. I'm Austin Gayle with Mike Renner. Ton of good things to talk about today. We're going to unwrap some presents, if you will. Christmas came early, and it's right now. We're going to talk about favorites from the latest PFF 2020 NFL mock draft. Mike Renner spent all night doing it, ended up getting sick as a result.
Yes.
He's sick today. Bear with us. He's going to fight through this for Santa.
I hope I don't actually have the flu, but I am sick.
Okay, well, just stay away from me. That's all that matters. We're also going to preview the best prospects in the college football playoff. Is it 6 of our top 10 prospects are playing in these games?
Yes.
That is absurd. And then the last thing, we're going to go into our naughty or nice list. A couple of rookies that didn't perform too well this past week and some that did. So it's going to be a good list there. Let's go ahead and dive right into it, man. I like the Santa hat, by the way. You're looking great.
Thank you. I mean, we're both wearing Santa hats. We both look great.
Favorites from the mock draft. Let's start with Jeffrey Okudah, Ohio State corner, going to the Detroit Lions. Big reason I like this one is because he's going to play a ton of man coverage. Going to play a ton of man coverage in that Lions defense with Darius Slay still there as well. I think it's a very impressive cornerback tandem that could be. And Jeffrey Okudah going from Ohio State, plays a ton of man coverage, and then going into Detroit, I think that would be a very, very good fit for him.
And I think that's the biggest thing. You have, Darius Slay on one side. You have Justin Coleman in the slot, but when you play man coverage, you're always going to get your weakest link attacked. It is sort of a weak link sort of proposition. That's why the Patriots have a ton of corners every single year, it seems like, that they're throwing out. They're always trying to acquire talent at the position. Now, cornerbacks have history, not really going top 3 in the draft. I think Okudah could be that exception, should be that exception. And I think we should be changing that about the cornerback position. You should be willing to take those guys right at the top because they are game changers. And Okudah in that defense, perfect fit, like you mentioned, with all the man coverage that they do run.
So with Jeffrey Okudah, obviously the number 1 cornerback on our big board right now, do you see him kind of keeping that spot through the combine, through all these things? Because Christian Fulton's going to the Senior Bowl.
Also the playoff. I mean, he gets to go up against a couple good wide receivers that are NFL caliber wide receivers. I foresee him looking pretty good in those games, whatever, if it is Clemson.
I'm convinced that there are going to be some teams that fall in love with Christian Fulton at the Senior Bowl. I think good head on his shoulders. I think he's going to win these one-on-ones pretty nicely. He's going to go against a good receiver group, too. Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be down there. I think it's going to be a very interesting
I would be
time
surprised if he takes a snap at the Senior Bowl.
Really? Even in practices?
Yes. You just don't need to. When you're a first-round pick, if you get torched, on a handful like whip routes or something, like some guy puts you in the mix, all of a sudden you're going down a draft board, whereas he's put on great tape for 2 years now at LSU. So, yeah, I think he is not going to play at Senior Bowl, and then at that point I think Okudah still going to be our top cornerback.
You get one route to beat a corner at the Senior Bowl, Mike. What are you going to take there?
Ooh, that's good. I mean, double moves are just filthy.
Oh, yeah, you have to go. It has to be a double move. I guess what type?
I think a sluggo. I think you hit him off coverage, the slant and go.
Amari Cooper's patented sluggo is just absolutely beautiful. Let's go to the next pick here. Tristan Wirfs, the Iowa offensive tackle, going to the Arizona Cardinals. Love this one because he's a super athletic tackle, a mover, a guy who could play guard early in the NFL if you needed him to. He could also go play tackle as well. I think going to the Arizona Cardinals, who are going to continue to run these light personnels, try and get people out of the box and get people in space. Also, run a ton of screens. They run a ton of screens with that system that Cliff Kingsbury's put in place. I think Wirfs makes so much sense to go there. You need athleticism along the line if you're going to run an offense like that. Wirfs to Arizona.
This is one that I think is going to be, we're going to mock this a lot over the course of the season. They're going to be rumored to be together a lot because of just all the things you mentioned there in terms of his athleticism, what he is as a prospect, fitting in with their defense. And now that Jedrick Wills, the Alabama offensive tackle, has been seemingly shooting up draft boards, and we have him going 4th in this one to the New York Giants, sort of jumping Wirfs in the Arizona Cardinals, winning games. Now with the 9th overall pick, I do think that they probably won't get the top offensive lineman on the board. Probably 1 or 2 will go ahead, but whoever they do get will still be, a pretty good consolation prize. This tackle class is fairly stacked.
We're diving into our favorites from the latest PFF 2020 NFL mock draft. You can see that live on YouTube on the ticker below. You can also find it on the website, pff.com, dropped early this morning. So if you want to see the full list, definitely dive in there. But for now, let's dive into these favorites. CeeDee Lamb, Oklahoma wideout. He'll have an opportunity to go against a very good LSU defense this upcoming weekend here. And then he's going to go to the New York Jets in your latest mock draft at number 10 overall. Give Sam Darnold a weapon. It's likely that Robbie Anderson, who will be an unrestricted free agent this offseason, departs for greener pastures, ideally. But with that being said, bring in CeeDee Lamb, a guy that can do it before and after the catch, a sure-handed receiver. The guy can, the big play waiting to happen type, I think makes this offense better. And I think Adam Gase, if you can't win with CeeDee Lamb and Sam Darnold and company, Le'Veon Bell, I'm starting to get worried.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams towards the top of the draft will pass on the wide receiver position because of how deep a class is. And, the guy they're getting in the top 5 compared to, the guy who can get on the wrap in the second round. there's an incremental difference. There's no CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy that you're going to find in the second round, but at the same time, there's really not going to be offensive tackle like Jedrick Wills. There's really not going to be a cornerback like Jeffrey Okudah. There's really not going to be an edge guy like Chase Young. So we're going to see some teams pass on wide receiver like we did last year, but I do think once you get around to 10, where the Jets are picking, they're not going to be able to pass on a talent like CeeDee Lamb, especially with how much they've needed to add around Sam Darnold and have been unable to over his 2-year career now in New York. So I do think that CeeDee Lamb has a good shot of jumping Jerry Jeudy as the first wide receiver off the board this year. I do think Marquise Brown, how good he has looked as a rookie, is almost helping him in terms of, you're projecting from this offense, similar role. This guy came in, produced, exceptionally well at Oklahoma last year. Comes in the NFL, does the same thing. CeeDee Lamb, I think, could get helped out by that in NFL evaluators' eyes. And the fact that he's played far more on the outside than Jerry Jeudy has will also help his draft stock.
Let's stay at CeeDee Lamb a little bit, because it's obviously CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy in the conversation for wide receiver 1 in this class. You have in the latest mock draft CeeDee Lamb going to the New York Jets at 10, and the Denver Broncos at 11 taking Jerry Jeudy, who has played a ton in the slot but can also play outside, an elite separator in this class. What's the difference between the two? The key difference that maybe separates them when the NFL evaluators get all said and done?
I think Lamb's just got a little bigger bodied guy, a little more contested catch ability, a little more body control that you can throw it up to him down the football field. We really haven't seen Jeudy have too many sort of jump balls down the football field. He gets open at the highest level of probably anyone in this draft class. I think he gets open more so than even CeeDee Lamb, but we've never seen him, once things are, a guy is one-on-one, guy is right in his hip pocket, make a ton of plays. That just has not been him. CeeDee Lamb, on the other hand, has been a lot better in those sort of situations. He hasn't done it a ton, though. He's not like T. Higgins, who is probably, we've seen more of than anyone else in this class doing that. But CeeDee Lamb still has been better in those, and I think projects well with his, size to the NFL.
Do you have a comp for either of those players, a pro comp for either of those players? I know that's
throw
tough.
me on the spot.
I know. I don't want to throw you on the spot with a comp here. Jerry Jeudy, it's easy to make an Alabama comp. Amari Cooper comp. A
lot of people go with DeAndre Hopkins for CeeDee Lamb, and I think Lamb's probably a little better athlete than Hopkins.
Wow.
But but Hopkins was a little bigger. Also, like coming out, Hopkins I think was like in the 200s. I don't see Lamb getting up to that. So I think you can see the body control and hands sort of thing, and the after the catch ability though is a really natural comp.
Let's go to our next favorite pick in the 2020 mock draft here. Javon Kinlaw, the South Carolina defensive interior, going to the Oakland Raiders. I like this one a lot because they already have Maurice Hurst Jr. there, who has flashed at times a bit. Hasn't really lived up to the potential we thought he could have in the NFL after grading so well at Michigan, but still playing well there. But they still desperately need a good pass rusher, whether it's on the edge or in the interior. Javon Kinlaw, exactly that. Great length, can beat you at the point of attack, wins pass rush snaps quickly. I think if you're going, the defensive interior class is very good. You could see a handful of them go in the first round. And Javon Kinlaw, one of my favorites because of that length, because of what he can do as a pass rusher.
Yeah, and I said, in the mock that the Raiders get their own version of Chris Jones, and that's similarly how Kinlaw is built. I think he might even be a little more stout against the run than Jones coming out. Maybe not necessarily the raw, pass rushing tools that Jones had, but this guy's played all over the South Carolina defensive line, too. Over 200 snaps at nose tackle this year on that defense, and has a 90-plus pass rushing grades, getting the job done. He ticks a lot of boxes on the interior. If you're getting a guy like him in the teens of this draft, you'd be real happy about who you're getting. Much better prospect in my eyes than someone like Christian Wilkins, who went 13th.
Absolutely.
If you're getting Kinlaw versus that, I'd take Kinlaw every day of the week.
And it all comes down to the fact that he can add value as a pass rusher, add above expectation as a pass rusher. That's where it's huge. We got a comment on the YouTube. Detroit Lions, they like the Jeffrey Okudah pick, but we already have Amani Oruwariye and Darius Slay. We've said this time and time again. No one has enough cornerbacks in the NFL. You need to continue to add to that position. When you can get a big-time talent like Jeffrey Okudah, I think you pull the trigger, especially when the scheme matches. Like Jeffrey Okudah wants to play in a Detroit Lions, New England Patriots type of scheme. I think they should not pass on Okudah because they have Amani Oruwariye and Darius Slay. They should go get him because he's an elite talent. Draft players, not positions. Going to the next favorite in this mock, we have Jaylon Johnson, the Utah corner, underclassmen. I know there's a ton of seniors on Utah's defense that are playing at a high level. He's going to go to the Philadelphia Eagles, who desperately need cornerback help. I think the position of need is obvious. It speaks to itself. They've been terrible in the secondary this year, but I really do like this Jaylon Johnson guy. I looked at his Passer rating allowed on targets of 10-plus yards over the past 2 years, 19.5. Best in the Power 5. It's pretty insane. He does not give up the big play.
Yeah, he's very good down the football field. Very physical. I'll go back to his matchup with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside last year. It was very fun to watch in terms they just went back and forth with each other. Arcega-Whiteside won a few of them, and Jalen Johnson had himself a pick 6 in that game. So every single year of his career, 3-year starter now, sub 60 passer rating against allowed, so he's just been consistently hard to pass against. And I think when you see it over that large of a sample size, you feel way more comfortable about projecting a guy to the NFL.
And giving up the big plays is the biggest thing. Is when you are tested deep down the football field where there's the most opportunity to get torched, to get Jalen Mills, to Roswell Douglas of the world, get torched down the football field, that's when you really find out if you can really make it in the NFL.
And I think what we just heard about they have Omani Oruwariye, the Lions. Eagles are the case study of why you keep drafting cornerbacks. They felt comfortable with Roswell Douglas, with Sidney Jones, letting them develop, and now all of a sudden they have one of the worst cornerback groups in the NFL because they didn't. And I think that can set you back so much when that is the case that you can't risk it if a guy hasn't shown that he's a solid to above average cornerback in the NFL. You can't just rely on them taking that next step.
I think this is an opportunity too to bring up kind of our evaluation process. I know one that you've kind of talked about highly is when you're looking at cornerbacks, one of the first things you can do is look at these targets of 5, 10 plus air yards to get an idea of how they do down the football field. I think a perfect example is Hamp Cheevers, the Boston College cornerback. I think went undrafted and now isn't in the NFL, but you watch just his targets and you see what he does on like a 4-yard slant. You get excited about him breaking what's in front of him. Then you watch just his 10 plus and you see he's getting burned way more than you'd like to see, and that's just a high percentage of targets you're losing, and you can't lose those valuable routes to wide receivers. I think it's an interesting way to evaluate cornerbacks and definitely a good one. Let's go to the next favorite pick here. Henry Ruggs, the speedster out of Alabama, going to the Green Bay Packers, giving Aaron Rodgers life. I have a couple things here. Henry Ruggs, obviously a burner, big play waiting to happen. I think he's a guy that is going to stretch the field at the NFL level. Another thing though is when I rewatched that LSU game, and he's pretty good at the line of scrimmage. I think his routes are better than what I would call Devontae Smith's even.
I do. That's why I think we have much higher on our board than Devontae Smith right now is because of that.
I think Ruggs is a better route runner than Devontae Smith, and he has all that speed, and he's great down the football field, and his pass rating when targets absurd for his collegiate career. He scores touchdowns, and that's pretty much it. I think Ruggs in the NFL is going to be impressive. Jerry Jeudy, obviously awesome, but we cannot stop talking good things about Henry Ruggs and Devontae Smith even.
Yeah, 153.5 pass rating for his career when targeted. So absurd production when they do throw him the ball there in that Alabama offense for whatever reason. Didn't throw him the ball that much this year, only 50 targets, but again, caught 38 of them, 7 touchdowns, averaged over 10 yards after the catch per reception, which is a crazy figure, 18.9 per. And he is he's a speed receiver, but he's not just a speed receiver. He has very good ball skills. I know the Packers already have a guy in Marquez Valdes-Scantling who sort of fills that speed role for them, but he has dog shit for ball skills compared to Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs, only 4 drops on 100 catchable his entire college career, would immediately be an upgrade over that. And so, I mean, you have Devontae Adams on one side, him on the other, very different types of receivers, but I think it pairs a challenge for opposing defenses then at that point. They just need some talent in that receiver room. Pretty much a handful of times this year, if you watch the Packers games, you're just thinking they need someone else to step up and make a play besides Devontae Adams. And Allen Lazard's kind of been that guy, but they really don't have anyone else.
Before we dive into the next favorite of the 2020 mock draft here, I got 2 updates from the YouTube comments, the live comments here. One, Stephon Diggs comp for Jerry Jeudy, which I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't hate. I kind of like that. Other one, they would like to see us do this podcast on mushrooms. I think that's an opportunity, maybe down the road, a summer type of thing. I think there's opportunity there. Going to the next pick here, Jordan Love, Utah State quarterback, going to the New England Patriots. This guy, Jordan Love, gets a lot of love for his arm talent, for his potential, for his ceiling, but there is some concern with his floor. They know he needs to develop a little bit more. He's coming out early after a year that wasn't that great. Going to the Patriots, sit behind Tom Brady. It's a classic one. People have been mocking quarterbacks to the Patriots for the past 5 years. Okay,
this is true.
The Jordan Love to the Patriots, though, it's always going to make sense, especially for those quarterbacks that you think need a year or two to develop in the NFL.
So here's been my take on Jordan Love in terms of drafting him highly in the NFL draft. He had 20 touchdown passes, 17 picks. If you're a GM or head coach who's not necessarily set in stone, who doesn't feel confident about their job security, you're going to get roasted in your local media. You're probably going to get roasted in the national media. Like the Daniel Jones thing, and this is even worse than Daniel Jones statistically in terms of how he looks as a prospect to the casual fan. If this guy doesn't turn out to be good after the year he just had, you're gone. As a GM, you're gone. If you put your sort of stake in this guy and he doesn't turn out to be good, you're like, it's kind of like the Christian Hackenberg. It's like, why the hell are you drafting this guy who had terrible statistics, who looked terrible at times this past year, and thinking he'll all of a sudden turn around in the NFL, and then when he doesn't, you're just going to get roasted. But Bill Belichick has the job security to where he can make this pick. It can flop all over the place.
I mean, Bill Belichick's flopped on a handful of first-round picks.
It can not work out, and I'm pretty sure his job's still going to be safe. So I do think that could end up working in the Patriots' favor because he is talented, incredibly talented guy. Things went really south on him this year in terms of everything around him. But there's some good things to like about him, and gets rid of the ball quickly, does not take sacks, has good pocket presence. Inconsistent footwork, needs to develop, but I think he's still going to end up going, whether it's late first round or early second round.
You know what it was for Jordan Love is he lost Darwin Thompson, an absolute explosive weapon. Losing a running back like that, you just can't make it work.
That's actually not why.
No, I do love Darwin Thompson. I do love Darwin Thompson. All right, let's go. Last favorites of the 2020 mock draft here. We're going Jalen Reagor, the TCU wide receiver, coming out early after what was a disappointing season only because we expected so much of him, but a lot of that on quarterback play and other things. He's going to the New Orleans Saints, which I'm all for. Mocking fast receivers that can separate to New Orleans Saints to complement Mike Thomas is just money.
I would say the Saints are in luck this year in terms of how this draft and how the draft class looks to be shaping out in terms of they need someone else besides Michael Thomas pretty desperately. Like at some point, someone's going to figure out how to make sure that offense can't just pump Michael Thomas 15 targets a game and have to make Drew Brees go elsewhere, go down the football field. And I think they need a secondary option and haven't had one this year whatsoever. Reagor could easily be that guy right out the gate. I mean, the situation he'd be in would be night and day from what we saw from him at TCU.
If Reagor falls,
and just another sort of offensive weapon that would be put to use in New Orleans in terms of when they did throw him screens, it was electric. Like he is electric with the ball in his hands. Could be just a weapon for them in any sort of mold. And we know Sean Payton's willing to take advantage of guys like that.
They'll have a bevy of weapons with Taysom Hill still there too. I mean, that's just he's a free agent. I was talking about this. Taysom Hill cannot go anywhere else. There no other team would use him the way he's used in New Orleans? I 100% disagree if someone has a different take. Because if you leave Sean Payton, you're on the bench. It's like a backup special, or he'll play special teams somewhere else, but that's pretty much it. Staying with the Saints, though, I think Jalen Reagor, if he falls to the back end of the first round, top of the second, you're coming away with a steal, dude. I mean, that is just, he's such an electric player that I think got boned a bit by bad quarterback play.
Bone's a good way to put it,
I think got boned. He got boned by, because we've said this before on a previous podcast. If Reagor plays for Alabama, we're talking about a guy that goes off.
You're talking about him just like the same breadth as Ruggs.
Exactly. Or you even said, played that role of Devin Duvernay in Texas. The dude just torches 1,800 yards. I mean, that's where it would be. That's going to do it for our favorites from the 2020 mock draft, PFF's latest, PFF Mike's latest. And remember, you can continue to follow that along on the ticker below. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to dive into the college football playoff, looking at the top 10 prospects at each one. This will be on the audio version. You can find that on Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts. Then we're going to move forward. Let's talk about the shirt you got on today. I'm very interested. It looks nice.
Yeah, it's the proper cloth. I think it's the one I've been wearing for the last 3 times we've done this show, but
it's that good.
It fits really nicely. And I have 5 of these now, and I didn't own any dress shirts before this, and that's because 1, I don't wear dress clothes a lot, but 2, it's difficult to find the ones that fit.
Yep. Big shout out to Proper Cloth. I like the fit. I like the style. I like the feel. Huge fan of that. They're sponsoring the podcast. I have 5 of my own. One with a little monogram AG on there. Okay. You're flossing at the bars here in Cincy, Vegas. But, stop wearing shirts that don't fit. Go to propercloth.com/PFF today. You can save $20 on your first shirt with promo code PFF20. We also have to shout out our sponsors from Western Southern. It doesn't matter if it's football or financial wellness. The right questions will always give you the best chance for a win. Western Southern has partnered with us at PFF to give you a chance for an up-close and personal look at the X's and O's that'll lead to both financial and football success. Looking for insight on your financial future? Need an Inside the Huddle tip? Head to westernsouthern.com/ask-Chris to ask Western Southern and PFF your most pressing questions. You can even win tickets to the big game. The big game being the Super Bowl. That's exciting stuff from Western and Southern and proper cloth. Moving forward, it's time to get who's naughty and who's nice. Let's check this list twice, put the Santa hands up firmer, and let's get into this. Starting with nice, Jacksonville Jaguars rookie offensive tackle Jawan Taylor. 0 pressures allowed on 40 pass blocking snaps this past weekend. Very good stuff from him.
Yeah, career high 81.8 grade. The Vic Beasley caveat, whatever. Vic Beasley disappears in a lot of games. That happens.
Vic Beasley's had some flashes
But he
this
also
year,
has
though.
dominated.
Yeah.
So to shut him out like he did, very good. I think he's had an encouraging rookie season. 69.1 pass blocking grade. That's very good in the grand scheme of things. Just getting average tackle play. I mean, that's borderline what like Donovan Smith's best year is, and we just saw him get paid like $13 million a year this past year. So I do think to have gotten him at the top of the second round looks like one of the better picks of this 2019 draft.
69.1 PFF pass blocking grade so far this year on 688 pass blocking snaps. And we said this, we've been hitting this since the start of this podcast, really, is that getting that kind of offensive tackle play from a rookie is very difficult. It's hard. The rookie wall, the learning curve at that position is difficult. You see it with even a ton of top highly drafted picks to struggle in pass protection early on. Jawan Taylor proving that he could be quite the find in the second round for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Same with Gardner Minshew, that tandem there. Now, I do love Gardner Minshew. Let's go ahead and move forward on this nice list, or do you want to pivot to naughty?
Let's do one naughty. Yeah,
okay, let's do one naughty. Devlin Duck Hodges was throwing absolute ducks. He got pulled and then put back in, and then pulled. It was snip, snap, snip, snap. The office gif was going off. 28.9 PFF passing grade. Not good. Not great. That's naughty, okay? You're getting lumps of coal in your stocking for that kind of performance. 3 turnover-worthy plays on 20 dropbacks. You cannot be impressed with the Duck.
Yeah, Greg Williams came after him. I mean, 40% of his snaps, he got blitzed.
I love how Greg Williams treats young quarterbacks. The dude just sees blood in the – it's like a shark. Sees blood in the water, takes that really safety from like 50 yards deep to a little bit closer, maybe 45, and then just sends the dogs.
Yeah. No, but it was ugly. I mean, it's just nothing going. 3 turnover plays and 20 dropbacks. I mean, couldn't even complete goddamn passes down the football field. That was what we're worried about. And like what we said a few weeks back when things were going well, it was just like, yeah, he's completing passes, but just has not had anything of note down the football field, and that's kind of what we've seen catch up to him here.
Deontay Johnson, though, has played well. I think he leads the Pittsburgh Steelers in receptions and receiving yards so far this year. That's part of it was because of Juju Smith-Schuster, but he continues to create separation at a high level. He's great after the catch. Again, and I said this last time, I liked his after-the-catch ability at Toledo, but there were so few times where you saw it because he was just beating the doors off people to a point where he was wide open. Now that it's getting a little bit closer and he's getting more involved near the line of scrimmage, you see what he can do after the catch. I'm really impressed with Deontay Johnson. I know it fit in a little nice there, but sticking with let's go back to the full nice here. Daniel Jones, 28 of 42 for 352 yards and 5 touchdowns. New York Giants, he played flip cup with Eli Manning after the game. It looked pretty exciting there. I wish I was there. That looked like a good time. I think that would have been fun. But Eli Daniel Jones,
napkins all up in
that
there.
Was interesting. Very interesting.
But yeah, it was his highest graded game all year. I think it was not nearly as good as maybe the stats might say, because that Washington secondary was in shambles. I mean, they did not look like, I'm not going to accuse anyone of actively tanking, but they look like they were actively tanking at times in terms of he just had wide open guys running down the football field. A handful of his touchdowns were just via that. But I think this is the kind of guy, this is Jones' high end. This is what you expect from his career. He's never going to be just pumped throws down the football field. He is going to hit that hitch in rhythm underneath. He's going to make he's going to do all that stuff perfectly within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage and, navigate pockets well, that sort of thing. I still do worry, though, about it. He had another fumble this week.
Yeah, that fumble is going to drag down
now
your overall
on the
grade.
year. That's why his overall grade, not quite team of the week sort of worthy this week, but now 16 on the year. I think that's a record. Like he just, I don't know. That leads me to believe more that pocket presence that I thought was like him just being cool under pressure is more just like obliviousness. Like I don't think I'm not sure he just knows what's going around him at times in the pocket, which I don't know. Toes that line.
You've always said that about him, though, that obliviousness helps him in a pressured pocket because it also can kill you, though, because you're not protecting the football in the right ways. Let's go back to the naughty list.
Yeah.
Will Grier. Oh, my gosh. This was not great, Bob. 4 turnover-worthy plays. It was bad. It was a legit bad game for him.
And so then, like, 2 of those turnover-worthy plays was, like, the right decision down the field. And it was open. he looks like he has a noodle like his
Really?
arm. The ball was just dying on him down the football field. Could not drive it in whatsoever. That's worrisome because there was a cover 2 hole that was just like. I mean, Josh Allen hits a sleep. Like, Josh Allen puts that in there, and the cornerback's not within 5 yards of the receiver at that point that he just couldn't stuff into the turkey hole. Christmas or Thanksgiving reference?
I eat Thanksgiving. I eat Thanksgiving. I eat turkey on Christmas sometimes.
Okay. Same. That's what I'm eating tomorrow. But he just couldn't do it, and that's worrisome for Will Grier. 4 turnover plays, like I said on the day, 45.5 passing grade. Our first taste of the rookie was unsavory.
I like that finish there. If you can't fit the turkey hole on Christmas week, I feel like that's just a bad look. Turkey hole's open. You got to fire it in. Let's go to the next one here. Rock Yassin. Good game. This is a good game. This is the nice list. We're back on the nice list. Santa's nice list here. Rock Yassin only allowed 2 receptions for 33 yards from 3 targets on 53 coverage snaps. A very good game for him. That Colts secondary looked very good this week.
Yeah, I mean, he was going up against Will Grier to some degree. That helps a little bit, but he did.
The noodle.
He's physical at the line of scrimmage. I think that's sort of the thing that you want to see keep progressing. It was an up and down rookie season for him. Much better over the second half of the season, though, grading-wise, 80.8 grade in this game. I mean, encouraging, definitely rookie year. None of these rookie cornerbacks, I think a lot of people said it wasn't a great rookie cornerback class. It's starting to look like, it's not been a great rookie cornerback class. Like, not a lot of guys hit the ground really running and have been impact players. But this isn't just his first time on this list. He's made it a handful of times. So encouraging year from him. Hopefully he takes a big step in year 2.
We have two members of the naughty list to finish here, and there's some great ones here. Garrett Bradbury got Kenny Clark again.
He's back on the
naughty. My gosh.
Everyone on that interior offensive line for the Vikings got Kenny Clark and Zadarius Smith, but Bradbury especially. 3 sacks, hit, 2 hurries, 3 more
what was his pass blocking grade, Mike?
It was a 0.0 for second time this season he's earned the dreaded null.
Man, that is tough. What do you think it is? Because, I mean, we did not see this level of pass blocking woes from Garrett Bradbury coming out. What do you think is going on?
I mean, there was something to his anchor wasn't great, even at NC State, and then he has tiny little T-Rex arms. Like, he has small arms. He didn't have the length to deal with a lot of bigger pass rushers, and I think we've seen it. Kenny Clark took him to town. It was bad.
Finish here with Taylor Rapp. I mean, he 3 receptions for 74 yards, but the biggest thing here, why he's on the naughty list, he gave up that big play.
That was.
Emmanuel Sanders did not. Emmanuel Sanders did not give him any pump to the corner.
Yep.
I don't know why he flew to the sideline.
Well, he's backpedaling into cover 2. It was 2-man. That's why everyone's like, "Oh, Jalen Ramsey got torched." And it's like, no, you trail your receiver.
I will say this though, it's 2-man, but
into the safety.
It's 2-man, but it was a deep trail. It was a deep trail.
He was a little lazy with it. I mean, I don't think he thought it was. I think he just saw the route concept and didn't think that he knew he had help. He didn't think it would be just a pure deep route at that point. So he was sitting on something underneath. But Taylor Rapp he kept flying out to the sidelines when there was no one. That was the outside receiver.
I don't understand.
You can't
I didn't understand
outside the outside receiver when you're playing cover 2 like that. That you're covering grass at that point, and that was just a rookie mistake.
Yeah, that was definitely. I saw Jalen Ramsey, John Adam during the game. So let's talk about during the game. I saw him, John Adam, shortly after that play. I can only imagine what Jalen Ramsey was saying to Taylor Rapp there. I'm sure it was absolutely just disparaging there. Oh man! And then after the game, buries him a second time with the media a little bit, saying, "Hey man, I was playing my thing. Taylor Rapp just screwed it or whatever."
Yeah, I mean it was you.
He wasn't super vicious about it, but I'm sure the on-field commentary was a little bit more vicious. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I'm definitely speculating, but I think it was a little bit more vicious knowing Jalen. That's going to do it for the 2-for-1 Drafts podcast. It was some exciting stuff there. Love talking the favorites and the naughty and nice list. Remember, you can find us on Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts. We will not have a Thursday podcast this week, taking a little Christmas vacay, but we'll be back Tuesday doing this thing. So definitely appreciate you guys. This has been Austin Gayle, Mike Renner, 2-for-1 Drafts.